Today on the channel, in honor of 20,000 subscribers to this very YouTube channel, today we are doing a special countdown of my top 20 most wanted Marvel Legend X-Men characters.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to another countdown video, a Thursday tradition on the channel here, but usually it's top 5, sometimes a top 10, but today we're doing a top 20 countdown. Of course, every Thursday we're counting down something like I said, but today, in honor of 20,000 subscribers to this very YouTube channel, gotta thank all you guys out there that subscribe, you guys like the videos, you comment, interact, all that fun stuff, and of course, the Patreon members, 50 plus strong at this point. Thank you guys for all the support, making this channel exactly what it is. A lot of fun for me, so there you go. But today, I was just recently cleaning up, moving some things in my collection, and I got to my old school ToyBiz Marvel hero figures. Now, if you were a kid in the mid-90s, you know all about the Marvel Legends, or not the Marvel Legends, the Marvel ToyBiz at the time, and of course other superhero stuff, but especially the X-Men line. X-Men Mania running strong, of course, the success of the animated series, the comic book lines, and then of course the action figures all going together. Great for young Kyle, great for a lot of collectors, and a lot of nostalgia for that line, especially for me. And as I'm going through all these figures, I found about 50 figures. I was like, man, I wish Marvel Legends would do this. Wish Marvel Legends would do this. Obviously, they can't get to all of them, but I did narrow it down, and this just all clicked to me. I said, let's count down 20, and we'll start at number 20, work our way to number 1 as usual. And 20 figures that I would love to see Marvel Legends come out with in the next few years. And I got to think a lot of these we will get in the next few years, you would hope. But we'll see what ends up happening. But of course, we're going to do this list like we do all the other ones. I'm going to count down from 20 all the way to number 1. And I'm going to ask for you guys in the comments below. It might be really hard for you, but if you want to try to take a stab at it, go for it. But take your top 20 that you want and make sure you put them in order. That's the hard part. That was the challenging part here today. And we're going to go through these figures one by one, their ToyBiz version, and talk about the hopes of a Marvel Legends version. So in honor of the 20,000 subscribers, like I said, today we're doing it. The top 20 most wanted ToyBiz X-Men related figures to Marvel Legends. All right, let's kick the list off at number 20. And number 20, we go all the way back to the Evil Mutant series of ToyBiz X-Men related characters. We go to one Trevor Fitzroy, a bit of a deep cut villain, I would say. Trevor Fitzroy, not your Apocalypses or Magnetos, Mr. Sinisters of the world, but a very, very cool figure for the time. One we got a few repaints of. Of course, he had a little cubes that could kind of go over him. If I remember right, he could drain people's powers and then go into wormholes, things like that. It's been a long time since I've thought about this guy until just the other day. But a very, very cool looking figure, and one I would love to see represented in the Marvel Legends line. Very cool with kind of the metal arms like a young Major Blood. Always had a cool 90s look to him with the green hair. Like I said, there was some repaint, so they could do any version of him, and I would be happy. But a cool figure to play with at the time. I don't know where he is in modern day comic books, if he's still even around. But one I definitely enjoyed back in the day, and like I said, the nostalgia factor kicked in. Had to pick this one up way back when, and I would pick one up if they made one in 2022. So coming in at number 20, Trevor Fitzroy. All right, we're at number 19, and number 19 comes to us from X-Force Series 1, a very cool set. I loved X-Force Series 1. One of my favorite toy lines of all time, as of course I was all in on the X-Men. I love the X-Men, but the X-Force feels like not your daddy's X-Men is what it felt like as a kid. It was like X-Men for Kyle's generation, Kyle's early teen years, 11, 12 years old, or whatever you want to call those years. I just remember X-Force feeling more dangerous, having big, big weapons, getting the job done by any means. And X-Force Series 1 was an exciting time, and like a lot of these toys, didn't know they were even going to exist until you saw them on the pegs. The excitement was something else. That is something that's missing in modern toy lines. We know what's coming out. We know what to be looking for, but to just be able to go to your Toys R Us, KB Toys, Target, Walmart, whatever it is, and see new stuff on the shelf, man, there's an excitement that just isn't matched in this day and age. But going all the way back to X-Force Series 1, I'm talking at number 19, GW Bridge, and it's a guy I'm surprised hasn't been made. He was a bit of a peg warmer at the time. He was a good guy, kind of a foe of Cable, if I remember correctly. I think later on, didn't he join S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury and stuff? I could be wrong on that. But I would love to see some throwback retro carded figures to some of these. And, you know, as we get closer in the next couple of years to the anniversary of these toy lines, maybe that'll be in the cards. We'll see if that happens. You know, the 30-year itch, as a lot of people say. But always loved this GW Bridge figure as a kid. You know, of course, weapons with your X-Force figures. But I also had him incorporated in all kinds of different storylines. Wouldn't always make it to the end of the battles, but would put up a good fight. And a good enough fight to make number 19 on my top 20 most wanted X-Men figures. All right, coming in at number 18 on my top 20 list. Once again, we go to the X-Force Series 1 lineup. We go to, who is it? Gideon. Now, Gideon seemed like he was going to be a really big deal in the comic books back in the day, feuding with X-Force and stuff. And at least to my memory, he just kind of faded away, and I've never really heard anything else from him. Of course, he was an external, and that was an external before I even knew what externals were back in the day. So he had that caveat to him, I guess. And I always liked this weapon here with the sword that fit in the briefcase. In my mind, he was a lot like the Crimson Twins from G.I. Joe back in the day. He was just kind of like a businessman, but underneath, you know, superpowers, you would say. I guess in Gideon's case, yes. But just a fabulous one with that high ponytail. Just a very iconic figure, once again in X-Force Series 1. One I had to have back then, and it would be a deep cut, like a lot of these, probably deep cuts, because, hey, if they haven't been made by Marvel Legends by now, they're obviously going to be a deep cut. But I think there's a lot of 90s kids like myself that would love themselves an updated Gideon. All right, and we're at number 17. And number 17, we go to X-Men Series 4. We go to a pirate. Everybody loves a pirate. We go to Ahab. Now, Ahab, I don't have a whole lot of memories from. I don't believe he was ever in the animated series. I'm pretty confident that. I don't know where he was in the comic books. I remember him feeling like a deep cut even all those years ago in the toy line. But, of course, you're collecting the toys. You're getting them all. You make your own adventures, things like that. I just vaguely remember him being with Apocalypse, and I think Apocalypse turning him into a Four Horsemen, something like that. That's about all I remember of Ahab. Not the greatest figure ever, especially back then, but I feel like the Marvel Legends team in this day and age could really spruce this one up and really make it into something pretty special. So for nostalgic reasons, and these are all nostalgic, but this one, not the best figure ever, but I feel like the modern take could be pretty cool. And I always did love the peg leg. I always remember using this as a gun and a drill and a weapon, basically. But a very interesting figure. Not the best figure, but one I'm very nostalgic for, and I always do remember back to seeing him on the store pegs for the first time, like a lot of these. So Ahab, I'm going to put in at number 17 in my top 20 list. All right, next up in my countdown, we go all the way back to X-Force Series 2 for our number 16 selection. And this is a guy that already had a figure before in X-Force Series 1. Now, that one didn't quite make this list, but this one did because I always thought it was so much cooler. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Kane. Not Undertaker and Kane, but Kane from X-Force. And of course, I talked about X-Force. They're big, heavy-duty, very 90s weapons, of course. And Kane, no different. Now, the first version of Kane, he could shoot his hand off, which is a pretty cool effect. But he was so skinny and kind of little, so I definitely like this beefed-up version here. Some very cool accessories, a windmill blade for a hand, a gun, of course. Just a better overall figure. And much like GW Bridge, Gideon, a lot of guys are forgotten over the years, and I have no idea whatever happened to Kane. I very much do not remember him. I remember him and Deadpool squaring off back in the day. Of course, early incarnation of Deadpool. New Mutants dead in X-Force and stuff. Of course, Deadpool hanging around back then. I remember Kane and Deadpool having some kind of a rivalry, and that's all I really remember about Kane. But I remember just really enjoying this figure, and once again, a lot like Ahab, I think the Marvel Legends team could really spruce this one up. Now, might be a deep cut, might not be the best seller, but put him in a Build-A-Figure wave, make people buy him to get a Build-A-Figure, and you're off to the races. So coming in at number 16, X-Force Series 2, Kane. All right, number 15 spot. We're working our way through, but number 15, I am very confident we are going to get in the Marvel Legends line in the next year or two. I just have to think, because what is old is new again, and things like this from way back then, they made a ton of Wolverines, and today's day and age, they make a ton of Wolverine. So we got the old Spy Edition Wolverine. Of course, this was repainted a couple of different times, but a very classic Wolverine with the faceplate that moves, all black attire for Secret Mission Wolverine, really. And like I said, they made a ton of different Wolverines in the ToyBiz line. They make a ton of Wolverines in the Marvel Legends line. I'm actually shocked we have not got this one by now. So I have to think this one is coming. This one was in Wolverine or in X-Men Series 3. So I just got to think this is on the docket. They've never met a Wolverine they don't like, and I really did like this Wolverine. When you had to branch out in your special missions, things like that when you were a kid, you needed this Wolverine to get the job done. So one I really do think was coming. That's why it's not as high on my list, because I know it's coming. Like I said, it's got to be coming one of these days. But Spy Wolverine coming in at number 15. All right, we're at number 14, and number 14, we go all the way back to Generation X Series 1. Of course, an offshoot wave. Like many toy lines, I see the success. Okay, let's make some offshoot waves. And there was some good and some bad in that Generation X line. Some kind of crazy articulation that didn't really quite fit in with some stuff. But this figure definitely fit in. A little bit forgotten all these years later. What am I talking about? We're talking about Phalanx. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right. Phalanx Covenant. You guys remember that arc in the X-Men animated series? Or was it in the animated series? It was definitely in the comic books. I don't think it was in the animated series. But there was a cool technological alien race, I mean, as you can see right here. And this big guy was always a heavy bruiser in my fig fed as a little kid playing with these guys. I could see this being a Build-A-Figure possibly. I don't know, but once again, it is a deep cut, and a lot of times you want that Build-A-Figure to bring people in. I don't know if he could do it, but I always loved the push button on the back that opens up these faces and stuff on his chest, because kind of the technology would suck the bodies into it. I don't know, it was confusing as a kid. It's confusing now, apparently. But a big, meaty figure. Always thought this was pretty cool. It's like an old man head with a gray beard going on, but then he had just massive hands that were like 20 times the size of his head. Just a big character here. I loved a big beefy character back then, and I love him still to this day. So I would love it as a Build-A-Figure or any figure after all these years. But number 14, Phalanx. All right, for number 13, we stay in kind of the same headspace here. We go to the Phalanx once again for Cameron Hodge. Of course, he got sucked up into all this. Now, this one does come with a squirting water feature. Not for that in this day and age, so I'm not needing that. But a wild, crazy-looking character, of course, here. Compare these guys together very well. Kind of build out the army. Maybe a subset of these guys would be something cool, or maybe one of those Amazon box sets of all these guys. Maybe that would be the way to go. But a very cool-looking one that definitely fits in with the last one on our list. I'm here for this all day. Weird, wacky, crazy. Sign Kyle up, and that's why he comes in, Cameron Hodge, at number 13. All right, we're at the number 12 spot, and the number 12 figure comes to us from X-Force Series 2. Once again, I do feel like we're going to get this guy fairly soon. I think there's no way around it. We got to get him probably within the next year, most likely in an X-Men related wave Build-A-Figure. Who are we talking about? We're talking about X-Force's Grizzly. Everybody loves a hairy bipedal creature. Of course, we did get Ursa Major as a Build-A-Figure. I think we could get some reuse out of that and make a Grizzly figure. I just think it's going to happen in the next year or so, and I'm here for it as well. One of the glaring holes in our X-Force team, of course, you need the big bruiser, heavy hitter of the X-Force team, and that is Mr. Grizzly. So I gotta think this one's coming. So usually I would have that a little higher on the list, or a little lower on the list, I should say. But I want this one so bad. He's pretty high up there. He's at number 12. So coming in at number 12, Grizzly from X-Force Series 2. All right, we're at the number 11 spot. Number 11 comes to us from the Mutant Genesis wave of the X-Men figures. And this was some deeper cuts out there, but one I really did enjoy. Who is it? It is Senyaka. If you guys remember Senyaka, a member of the Acolytes back in the day. Of course, the red and purple. Love a good team. We all love teams in our Marvel Legends. Let's build out this entire team. Let's get these guys looking together, looking good. Magneto's henchmen, all that kind of stuff. But I always love the Senyaka. I love the whip he had that would, I think it was full of energy or would suck energy or something along those lines. But he's a hooded guy, almost ninja-like. If I remember right, he did die in the comic books. He could have been brought back by now, for all I know. But as a kid, I did really like this figure. This is one of my favorite guys, and I would love to see him brought in this day and age in one of the X-Men waves. And who knows, it could happen. Stranger things have happened. So number 11 for me, Senyaka. All right, now we're to the traditional top 10. We're a little bit more comfortable, a little more used to this. But coming in at number 10 comes all the way from X-Force Series 4. Who am I talking about? We're talking about Killspree, another X-Force villain I have no memory of. I believe he may have died as well. A lot of these guys do die, but then of course we know they do come back. But this action figure at the time was next level. I loved having him square off with Wolverine. Of course, the blades on his arms, the blades on his legs. He just felt like a Wolverine opponent. And then his kind of dreadlock clubs on the end, and then the cool purple. He was obviously a Lakers fan, as we could tell with the purple and yellow. I believe there was even repaints of this one. But Killspree, a cool name, a cool looking figure. Love that he squeezed his legs and he did this. Just an all-around awesome figure. A deep cut character, but when you're a little kid, things like this are extremely cool. And this is one I would love to see repeated in the Marvel Legend line right now. Number 10, Killspree. All right, at number 9, we go to X-Force Series 2, Krull. Krull? I'm not exactly sure, but I do know it was a cool figure, one that really, really did stand out. Of course, his big, long hair braid like a young Bianca Belair, but he's got a big old club, little medicine ball mace. What do we call these things? He's got that on the end that he could swing around to fight people with. Of course, he had skulls all around his waist. It was really cool. And then a crazy color combination. A color combination you do not see in this day and age, but it was all the rage in the 90s apparently with the purple and orange together. Almost looks like a character out of He-Man or Muscle Toys or something like that. But one thing I do know is he is cool, and that's why he comes in at number 9 on my top 20 most wanted. Coming in at number 8, once again, we return to X-Force Series 1. We're seeing a heck of a pattern here, but X-Force Series 1, Forearm. Now, whatever happened to Forearm? Another guy I lost track with, but man, as a kid, I remember not being able to get the whole set, and I had to go with Forearm as one of the first ones to pick up. Just having 4 arms was cool enough for me. I love that each arm was posable, and I could just imagine the Marvel Legends team doing a heck of a job on this one. Once again, probably need to be a Build-A-Figure, maybe not, but man, does he look cool. Looks almost like a Hercules-type character, but he's got 4 arms, and of course he was a bad guy. But I did enjoy this figure back then. I think this would translate very well in the modern day for the Hasbro Marvel Legends line with all the nostalgia, of course, but just a cool-looking figure. Who doesn't want a 4-armed figure in your collection? We know a lot of people want that, and I would love to see Forearm enter the Marvel Legends wave, and that's why he comes in at number 8 in my top 20 list. All right, we're at the number 7 spot in my top 20 most wanted Marvel Legends from the old ToyBiz days countdown. And number 7 here, it comes from X-Men Series 3. And once again, I can see this as a Build-A-Figure. We're talking about Tusk. Of course, Tusk with his little army member here in his back that pops out. How awesome would it be to get him as a Build-A-Figure, get a couple of his minions here to help do his work. I'm in all day long. Now, if I remember right, Tusk, wasn't he like a member or a henchman of Apocalypse back in the day? I believe that is the case. But man, looks awesome. A big bull-like character, the horns, the spikes. Just totally toyetic back then, and what could be now as a deluxe figure. I mean, I don't know how you get these guys to market. Maybe there is a lot of nostalgia. Maybe there's a lot of love for Tusk all these years later. But these could be too deep a cut for retail in this day and age. But maybe not. Maybe, like I said, you do an X-Men animated series wave. Maybe do something like this with the X-Men toys and do it on Hasbro Pulse, Shop Disney, or maybe it's an Amazon box set of a lot of these deep cut characters. I don't know, but however they do it, they need to get Tusk in the line. Very, very toyetic, very cool gimmicks to him. A very cool, scary-looking character, and one that's just screaming to be a Build-A-Figure, and that's why he comes in at number 7 in my top 20 list. All right, we're at the number 6 spot, and this one comes from X-Force Series 5, and this is not so much of a deep-cut character, and this is one I'm honestly shocked we haven't gotten the last couple of years. I would bet the house on it that we get him in the next year as well, but he is high on the list, and I know he's the most wanted for a lot of people. We're talking about Avalanche, of course, a classic mutant bad guy, also classic in the animated series, if you guys remember the X-Men animated series. Just one that I think is on the tip of a lot of people's tongues. Of course, we just got Toad recently. Got to think we're going to get Blob here in the next year or so. Avalanche makes a lot of sense as well. It has to be pretty high on the request list, I think, with the Hasbro team. So I got to think it is coming. But for me, he's at my number 6 most wanted spot and on my top 20 list. Oh boy, we're almost done with this marathon list here, and we've come to the number 5 spot. And the number 5 spot, I gotta think this would be another great Build-A-Figure down the line. We'll see what happens, but he is a bigger figure and a very cool one. And of course, weapons throughout like we saw in the 90s, and it is random. Looks like almost like a Dreadnought or a biker or something from the G.I. Joe universe, except he's got one big old arm that shoots guns and stuff out of it. So random, a very, very big dude, would be a great Build-A-Figure. I think this would be a very toyetic one. Screams 90s goodness all over him, and if I remember right in the comic books, I think he did die, and I think he was a bad guy and then a good guy and a bad guy. I think he kind of went back and forth, if I remember right. It's been a long time since I thought about random, but he is another one that is such a deep cut 90s goodness that I think would translate well, and I think there'd be a lot of nostalgia for if they came out with him in the Hasbro days right now. So that's why old Random comes in at number 5 on my top 20 list. All right, we're at the number 4 spot. The number 4 spot comes to us from X-Force Series 5. Who is it? It's Exodus, another member of the Acolytes with Senyaka back in the day, and a guy that I took extremely serious as a young kid reading the comics. I felt like he was going to be like the next Apocalypse or Magneto, a next heavy hitter bad guy. I don't think, at least in my comic book reading years, that really panned out for him. But he was a big dude and had quite the big storyline for a while, of course, with Exodus and being a member of the Magneto team and the Acolytes and all that kind of stuff. But always thought this was a very cool figure. Maybe it's a deep cut now. Like I said, I am not familiar with what he is up to now. But once again, the 90s bad guys, you put him, Senyaka, maybe there's a box set, a new Magneto in there to really help it sell. Maybe we get this. Maybe we get the Acolytes box set. I think a lot of us would be there for that one for sure. But Exodus, a big-time bad guy, as far as I remember when I was a kid, and one I would love to see made by Marvel Legends in 2022, 2023, whatever it takes. So Exodus coming in at number 4 in my top 20 list. All right, we're getting down to the end of it. We're getting down to the number 3 spot now, and number 3 comes from the Invasion series of the ToyBiz days, and a series that I was so hyped for because it really did march along with the animated series at the time. The Phoenix Saga, of course, and number 3 for me, Eric the Red from the Invasion series. This is another guy I have to think's coming fairly soon. Just a cool villain back in the day. Taking the X-Men to space is what it felt like. And absolutely love the look of the character. I love the look of the character now. I think it would translate very easily into modern Marvel Legends wave. I think they could really make this pretty easy, getting a lot of reuse of parts and stuff. But as a character, I am shocked we have not seen yet from Marvel Legends in all these X-Men waves. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a box set one day with maybe him included there. And you guys know I would be for that all day long. But Eric the Red coming in at number 3 in my top 20 countdown. All right, we're down to the final 2, and for whatever reason, number 2 stole my heart many moons ago and never let go like a young Rio, and we go to X-Men Series 6. We go to Chode. Yes, Chode. Now, there was a couple of repaints of him. I believe there was an FAO exclusive. I think this might even be the FAO Schwartz exclusive version. But, of course, part of the Phoenix Saga, and, of course, part of the Starjammers is Chode. The big muscle of the group, as we know, would be a perfect Build-A-Figure. Give us a set of the Starjammers, make Chode as the Build-A-Figure, we'd be off to the races. But a big lizard-like, bulking, huge character would just be great. Maybe use a Hulk body for him and scale it up and do some extra bells and whistles, something like that. But Chode, maybe not the most popular character, maybe one that not everybody remembers about, but the Starjammers were something special, especially if you're an X-Men animated series fan, and we need this big bruiser in the lineup. That's why he comes in hot at number 2 in my top 20 list. Can you believe it? We are at the number 1 spot. We have finally made it. We've counted down from 20 all the way to number 1. Make sure you put your list in the comments the best you can. Try to put them in order. Pull out the checklist. Pull out your figures. Try to put a list together. There's a lot of good ones, especially in X-Men series, but also Marvel series that I would love to see one day in Marvel Legends. We'll see what happens. But put your list in the comments down below. And you made it this far, you might as well like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the old notification bell. You guys know we got videos every single day. and Thursday is countdown day on the channel. And of course, this video, the 20,000 subscriber special here on the channel. So appreciate all the support from you guys. And don't forget about the Patreon. That is truly the best way to support the channel, where you can get videos like this much, much earlier, bonus content, exclusive content, monthly giveaways, and like I said, best of all, it is the best way to support the channel. So here we are at the #1 spot, and I cannot believe we have never seen this guy in Marvel Legends. And like a lot of these guys, I gotta think he's coming in the next year. So it's just gotta happen. And this guy would be perfect on his own, part of a Build-A-Figure wave, or maybe in a box set. Who am I talking about? We're talking about Corsair. Of course, the father of Cyclops, one of the stars of the X-Men animated series Phoenix Saga event. Just quite the emotional roller coaster that event was as a kid. And I remember watching the animated series, then going back and getting like a trade paperback of the entire Phoenix Saga, reading that. But I absolutely love the Starjammers. We talked about Chode earlier. Give me Raza. I didn't have him in my list. He could have easily been up towards the end, towards the 20. Just didn't quite put him in there. But there's a lot of other Starjammers. What was the cat girl? I forget her name. It wasn't Lunatic. I can't remember. But give me all the Starjammers. Give me an Amazon exclusive Starjammers box set. If they could make an Alpha Flight box set, they could do a Starjammers. That's what I'm saying. But Corsair, a space pirate, what more do you want? Of course, his sword, his pirate gun, and fabulous, fabulous look to him. The mustache, the hair, the outfit, just screams awesome. I need this in my collection. I need it in Marvel Legends. And like I said, I wouldn't be shocked to see this eventually happening. We just recently got Vulcan. So if they're going to do Vulcan, they're going that deep, they can give us a Corsair. I just hope it happens before I pass away. How about that? But Corsair is going to be #1 on my top 20 list. Would love to see what your list is. Would love to see what you think about some of these guys. Some of them you absolutely do not want to see. Some you may be forgotten about that you do want to see. Let me know. Sound off in the comments down below. But I want to thank everybody for 20,000 subscribers. Obviously couldn't get here without you guys, so it is much appreciated. Of course, follow along over at social media. Give the old like over there and thumbs up and all that kind of fun stuff. It's SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. You can pick up a t-shirt to support the channel if you want to. So there it is, with Corsair at #1, the top 20 most requested Marvel Legends figures by your boy Kyle with his ToyBiz tinted glasses on. Until next time, see you guys all real soon.